Arya assumed the royal guards were merely part of a tourist display until she stepped in their way, smirking and not moving, sure they would go around her. But when the guards marched forward without thinking, she learned the hard way that tradition and discipline don't care about who you think you are. This is what occurred. But before we go on, please tell us in the comments below where you are watching from. Subscribe to the channel and like the video so you don't miss another amazing video of Royal Guard bravery tomorrow. Celine Marwood's high heels clicking on the old cobblestones let everyone know she was there before she rounded the corner at Buckingham Palace's eastern gate. Her perfectly styled blonde hair and expensive athleisure wear made her look like someone who thought she was better than the average visitor who had come to see the changing of the guard. "Excuse me," she said as she pushed past an older couple who had been waiting patiently for their chance to take pictures. "Some of us need to go somewhere." Her luxury purse swung recklessly and almost hit a youngster, who hastily dived behind his mother. A palace worker kindly told her, "The queue starts back there, ma'am," pointing to the orderly line of people waiting. Celine's finely manicured palms slashed through the air, cutting off his words before they could fully impact. "Do you know who I am? I won't stand in line like some common tourist," she said in a voice that sounded like someone who had never been told no. "In 40 minutes, I have a lunch reservation at the Ritz." The attendant stayed calm and professional. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but for security reasons, all visitors must—" "Reasons of security?" Celine's laugh was so loud that everybody looked at her. "For what? Those toy soldiers are dressing up?" She waved her hand dismissively at the royal gates. "Anyway, this whole thing is just a tourist trap. I'm here to take a quick picture for my—" She stopped herself when she remembered that she was too smart for social media mentions. To that moment, a young family from Australia sought to get past her. Their enthusiastic kids were pointing to the palace guards in the distance, but Celine stood in their way. "I wasn't done here," she said, as if the whole courtyard were her own photo studio. "Please, miss," the father said, "the kids have been waiting all morning." "Well, they can wait a little longer, can't they?" Celine's voice dripped with disdain. People these days really don't know how to behave. No one but her understood the irony of what she said. The first chords of martial music could be heard from far away on the palace grounds. The changing of the guard was about to start. But Celine Marwood had already made up her mind that her schedule would have to take precedence over centuries of tradition. She had no idea that she was about to learn a very different lesson about how to behave in public, one that would last with her much longer than any picture. As the ceremonial music got louder, tourists started to move around, cameras poised to record the age-old rite. Celine, on the other hand, stayed where she was, right in the route where the guards would soon march. "Ma'am," a retired soldier moved forward. His jacket was covered in battlefield medals that showed he had really served. "You'll have to move back. The guards will be here soon." "Oh, come on." Celine rolled her eyes and fixed her Gucci sunglasses. "They can walk around me. I won't move until I have the perfect shot." She took out her phone and held it at different angles, completely disregarding the people around her who were getting more and more worried. The veteran's face, which had seen a lot of weather, got tighter. "These aren't actors, ma'am. They're soldiers on active duty, doing what they promised to do. It's not only custom for them to march that way, it's their allotted route." Under orders. Celine's laugh was so loud that it made a lot of kids jump. "Orders to march with silly hats? To stay still like statues? Please," she swept her hand at his medals as if to say, "No, I guess you used to dress up too." The crowd made a small noise of dissatisfaction. A steadying hand on the shoulder of the veteran's friend, who was also a veteran, helped him stay calm. "Don't waste your breath, Adrian. You have to learn certain lessons the hard way." The guards' precise footsteps could be heard coming from far away. Their steady march carried the weight of hundreds of years. Guard Tristan Hale was in charge of them. His posture was superb, and you could see how dedicated he was in every stride he took. Even from a distance, there was something about him that made most tourists want to step back. Something that showed he had real military experience underneath the ceremonial garb. "Last warning. Stop," a royal security officer said, seeming very worried. "Get out of the way right now. The guards will not stop or change their route." "Oh, for heaven's sake." Celine's voice got louder, which garnered even more attention. "This is a public space. I pay my taxes, well, my spouse does, and I may stand anywhere I choose." She turned to talk to the audience that was swelling, as if she wanted their help. "This is crazy. They are merely there to protect a tourist site. What are they going to do, walk through me?" The marching got near. Tristan Hale's battalion had turned the corner, and their red uniforms stood out against the gray stones of the palace. It was evident that this was not a tourist display, because they were in a strict formation and stayed focused. These were soldiers doing their jobs. "Please," a mother with 2 small children begged. "You are going to get hurt. They can't stop or change their route." Celine's answer was to press her feet more firmly and raise her phone higher. Then they should learn how to help customers. No matter how nice their hats are, I'm not moving for anyone in a costume. The drums got louder. The marching was more clear. The crowd moved back, leaving Celine alone in a small area that would shortly be filled by guards moving forward. The veteran shook his head slowly, and his eyes showed that he knew what was going on. He had seen this kind of entitled behavior before, and he knew precisely how it would end. Guard Hale's eyes, which had been trained by years of service to quickly assess situations, had already seen the blockage in their way. But he never stopped walking. His bearing never changed. The formation moved forward as if it were part of tradition itself, narrowing the gap between ritual and results. "This is your last chance." The voice of the security guy was really urgent now. "Get out of the way, or we'll make you leave." "Give it a go," Celine shot back, and with each passing second, her stance became more belligerent. "I'd love to see you explain that to my lawyer." She raised her phone higher, not realizing that she was going to become a lesson in respect, one that would stick in her mind much longer than any picture she hoped to take. The gap between Guard Tristan Hale's unit and Celine had shrunk to just a few yards, yet she still stood in their way, holding her phone high with defiant purpose. The way their boots hit the old stones in a steady rhythm made the air seem to quiver with power. "Let the Queen's Guard through." The command rang out loud and clear across the courtyard. Celine still kept her own, though, and a sneer crossed her lips as she watched the formation come closer through her phone screen. "Last chance," someone in the crowd cried out. "They're not going to stop." "Oh, come on," Celine called back without putting down her phone. "Not a military base here. This is a place for tourists, and I'm one of them," she yelled at the guards who were coming closer. "Remember, you all work for us, the people. It's time to learn some fundamental customer." When the crash happened, it was precise and controlled, yet it was still strong enough to knock Celine down. Guard Hale's shoulder barge, done with military precision, hit her just hard enough to get her out of the way of the formation. As she fell hard on the cobblestones, her fancy sunglasses flew one way and her phone the other. But fate still had more to teach. As the column kept marching without stopping, Guard Hale's boot came down hard on Celine's outstretched palm, the one she had put out to catch her fall. The impact wasn't meant to hurt or be cruel. It was just what had to happen when an unmovable force met an object that wouldn't move. Her cry of anger and pain broke the mood of the ceremony. "You broke my hand," she screamed and fell to her knees, holding her hurt hand against her chest. "Did everyone witness that? He attacked me. That thug attacked me on purpose." The guards kept marching. Their formation and discipline never wavered. Guard Hale kept his eyes on the front, and his posture was immaculate, as if nothing had happened. The only sign that something had happened was a small scratch on his otherwise perfect footwear. "How dare you?" Celine fought to get up, but her beautiful clothes were now stained with the stones in the courtyard. "Stop right now, I'm talking to you." As the formation marched forward, entirely disregarding her, her voice rose to a scream. "Do you know who my husband is? I'll take your job for this." The veteran who had warned her before stepped up and offered her a steadying hand, but she angrily swatted it away. "Don't touch me. I need the police. I want to know who they are. I want badges." Her face had turned a scary shade of crimson, just like the guards' uniforms. "That guy hit me. He used too much power. I could have died." "Ma'am," the palace security officer said as he walked up to her. His tone was professionally neutral, even though he had seen her disobey several warnings. You were told many times to get out of the way. The Queen's Guard has permission to clear any obstructions in their path. Problems. Celine's voice rose to a new level of anger. I pay taxes. That man, she pointed at Guard Hale's back as he walked away, attacked me. He stepped on my hand. I want him to be arrested right away. There was a small group of people around her, but they didn't seem to care about her at all. A few tourists who had filmed the event on their phones shook their heads. The veteran stood close by, his face a veneer of professional neutrality that didn't hide how surprised he was by what happened. I want his name. Celine kept going, her voice bouncing off the walls of the palace. Okay, I'll remember Tristan Hale. My husband's lawyers will make sure he never has to wear a uniform again. When we're done, I'll possess this whole mansion. The formation had arrived at their goal and made a beautiful turn, thanks to all the practice they had done. Guard Hale stood at his new post. He looked immaculate, and the small noise behind him didn't break his dedication to duty. Ma'am, the security guard tried again. We can help you file a formal complaint if you want. Complaint? Celine picked up her phone, which had dropped, and checked it for damage. I'm not just going to complain, I'm going to sue. The media is coming here. Everyone will know how these goons in fancy clothing abuse ladies who aren't guilty. She pointed her finger toward Guard Hale. That guy is a threat. He's a threat. He should be in jail, not pretending to be a military at a tourist spot. The veteran and his friend exchanged glances, both of them knowing that this was a common pattern of entitled behavior clashing with unyielding authority. They had seen it before, civilian hubris meeting military discipline, and the same thing usually happened. The police have been called, ma'am, the security guard told her. It was hard to tell if he was saying this for her benefit or because of her behavior. They'll be here soon to get your statement. He stopped and thought about what to say next. And to talk about getting in the way of the Queen's Guard while they are doing their jobs. Interfering. Celine's voice got so high that it made doves nearby fly away. They got in my way. That thug, she pointed to Guard Hale's post, attacked me. Check out my hand. She pushed her red fingers near the officer's face. This is an attack. Battery. Too much force. 2 police officers showed up, and their faces showed that they had dealt with situations like this before. The woman officer stepped forward with a notebook in her hand. Ma'am, I'm PC Mara Reddick. Please lower your voice and tell me what happened. What's going on? Celine's chuckle was almost hysterical. Let me tell you precisely what happened. Your beloved guard hurt an innocent woman. He pushed my body to the ground and then stomped on my hand. I want him to be arrested right away. PC Rowan Tate, the male officer, was already talking to witnesses. The soldier and his friend told their stories, and so did a number of tourists who had filmed the whole thing. Their accounts told a very different story than Celine's. Ma'am, PC Reddick said again, multiple witnesses say you were told over and over to clear the ceremonial path. Oh, ceremonial path. Celine said the words like they were poison. This isn't a military area. This is a place for tourists. I paid a lot of money to see this overhyped palace, and that man, another angry motion toward Guard Hale, thinks he can attack me because of some stupid custom. She dropped her phone and her hurt hand shook with wrath. I've got the greatest lawyers in London on fast dial. That guard will be lucky to get a job as a mall officer when I'm done. Her fingers moved quickly over the screen. And just wait till the news hears about this. Guard strikes innocent traveler. That will make a great headline, won't it? PC Tate came back to them with a full notepad of witness statements. Mrs. Marwood, he said firmly, you were issued at least 6 warnings to clear the way. According to several sources, the guard did everything he was supposed to do to get rid of obstructions during ceremonial duty. Obstacles. Celine's face got even redder. I'm not a problem. I'm a paying customer. And quit calling it ceremonial duties, as if it's a genuine profession. They're just fancy tourist traps where people go around in silly headgear claiming to be soldiers. They're soldiers, ma'am, the veteran said, his voice heavy with the weight of someone who had served. Active duty military members doing their jobs as ordered. That fact doesn't change because of the ceremony. Did I ask you what you thought? Celine turned on him. Why don't you go play dress-up with them? You love their little marching game. She turned back to the police and raised her voice again. Are you going to arrest him or not? PC Reddick's voice stayed professional and objective. "Ma'am, we won't be arresting Guard Hale because of what the witnesses said, and what you said about not clearing a designated military patrol route. We do need to talk about what you did today, though." "Actions of mine." Celine's scream bounced off the walls of the palace. "I was attacked. Look at my clothes in my hand." She pointed to the dirt stains on her pricey clothes. "This outfit costs more than what that guard makes in a month. I want to be paid. I want justice." A small group of tourists had stayed at a respectful distance and were watching what was happening. Some kids hid behind their parents, while others openly watched the show of entitlement meeting its match. The veteran and his friends stood nearby, and their presence was a silent reminder of the real military power behind the ceremony. "This isn't over," Celine shouted, pointing her phone toward Guard Hale, who was standing still. "Do you hear me? This isn't finished. I'm going to let everyone know what kind of goons are protecting this institution." She looked back at the officers. "Now, I want his full name, service number, and the phone number of his commanding officer." Tate cleared his throat. "Ma'am, we can help you file a formal complaint if you want to, but I have to tell you that it is against the law to get in the way of the Queen's Guard while they are doing their jobs." "Criminal offense?" Celine's laugh was so sharp it could cut glass. "The only criminal here is that guy in a uniform, and if you don't arrest him, I'll make sure my husband's lawyers take care of it. We'll see how tough he seems when he has to explain himself in court." The loud sound of boots on stone indicated the presence of Elias Rennick, the guard captain. His posture showed that he was a professional soldier with a lot of authority. As he looked around, the shiny brass of his insignia caught the afternoon sun. He saw Celine's messy hair and the resigned looks on the police officers' faces. "What's going on here?" His voice was low, but it had the kind of authority that made everyone but Celine stand up a little straighter. Finally, Celine pushed herself forward, holding her hurt hand against her chest in a theatrical way. "Someone in charge. I want Guard Tristan Hale to be arrested right away for assault and violence. He hit me without any reason, and—" "Mrs. Marwood," Captain Rennick cut through her rant with military precision. "I've already been told what's going on. When you refused to clear a designated military path despite several warnings, my guard did exactly what he was supposed to do." Celine's eyes got bigger when Captain Rennick spoke, and she looked shocked. "Within protocol," she said again, her voice full of anger. "Is it normal to throw a woman to the ground and tread on her hand? That's your defense. Are you all completely crazy?" Captain Rennick's eyes didn't move. He was completely calm, the kind of calm that comes with years of discipline and leadership. "The Queen's Guard is instructed to keep its formation and keep marching no matter what. Guards can move anyone out of the way if they are in the way of civilians, whether on purpose or not. You made this happen by not clearing the way. Are you blaming me?" Celine's laugh was bitter and hard to believe. "I was the one who got hurt here. Look at me. I may get hurt really badly." She held up her hand again, but upon closer inspection, it was mostly red and swollen. The captain looked at it for a second before looking back at her face. "Our doctors can look at you if they need to, but from what I can see, your injuries don't seem that bad." "Minor." Celine's scream resonated through the courtyard. "My hand could break. Do you know how much this will cost in terms of medical bills? And the trauma, the shame, the whole palace owes me an apology and some money." Captain Rennick's voice was steady, but there was a clear sense of finality in it. "You were told over and over again. You choose to ignore those warnings. You are in charge." Celine's mouth dropped open. For a minute, she couldn't find the right words, which is unusual for her. Then, with even more rage, she pointed right at him. "Do you think your uniform and high rank will scare me? I'm not easily scared. My husband is a lawyer, and he has more power than you could possibly imagine. When I'm done, you'll be polishing boots in shame while that thug Hale is on trial." People in the crowd grumbled in response to what she said, and their displeasure grew louder. Someone said entitled cow under their breath, while another person laughed out loud. Phones were still recording, capturing every outburst. The captain's tone now had a hint of steel in it. "Mrs. I strongly urge that you drop your voice and act with respect, Marwood. The guards are real soldiers, not performers in a play. They won't break formation for you. and they won't say they're sorry for doing their jobs. Celine's face contorted with anger. Respect. They attacked me. I deserve respect, not lectures from a self-important officer who believes he's above the law. Before the fight could go worse, PC Reddick stepped in. Ma'am, if you want to go through with this, you'll have to do it through the right legal channels. Yelling at soldiers won't change the realities. Celine absolutely disregarded her and stared at Captain Rennick. You haven't heard the last of me, I said. When I'm done showing everyone what a joke this is, everyone will be laughing at your so-called guards. Captain Rennick's posture was perfect, and his face was hard to read. That's it for us here. Hello, Mrs. Marwood. He turned quickly, his boots hitting the stones perfectly, and walked away without waiting for her to respond. Celine was left sputtering in shock that he had completely ignored her. Celine spun around, hoping the crowd would support her anger. Instead, people crossed their arms, arched their eyebrows, and looked at her with chilly phone cameras. Did you all see that? She shouted, waving her hurt hand through the air like proof in a trial. Someone in a uniform just attacked me, and they're all trying to hide it. I was the one who got hurt. There was a moment of silence among the crowd, and then a young tourist at the front burst out laughing. A victim, he said in a loud voice. Lady, you stood in front of them on purpose. Everyone told you. Everyone in the group agreed with each other. You didn't pay attention to 6 warnings. You were filming yourself like it was a TikTok prank. You really called them clowns 5 minutes ago. Every voice made Celine's already weak sense of control weaker. No, she muttered, her self-assurance wavering for the first time. You don't get it. I was trying to make a point. I was using my rights, and these guards work for the public. A chorus of grunts and mutters drowned out her declaration. A father in his 40s picked up his child and yelled, "There's your lesson, kid. Don't mess with the guard, or you'll end up like her." People started to laugh in the courtyard. Celine's cheeks turned bright red. This isn't funny. If you don't take those videos down right away, I'll sue all of you. The crowd became even louder at that, and a few people held their phones up higher to make sure they got her latest outburst on camera. Go ahead and sue me, a tourist yelled. I'll put the court order next to the video. Within minutes, bits of the meeting were already being shared online. As people posted footage on social media, comments started to show up in real time. Karen versus the Queen's Guard. Who do you think won? When entitlement meets an unmovable force. That scream when he stepped on her hand, though. Celine, not realizing how rapidly the story was getting away from her, turned her anger back on the cops. Get to work, take away their phones. This is bullying. They didn't have my consent to videotape me. PC Tate sighed and put his notebook away. Ma'am, they can film in a public place. You can't stop them legally. Celine's jaw dropped again, and her anger mixed with the growing understanding that she was completely alone. For the first time since she started yelling, she hesitated. She stood in the middle of the mob, her luxury clothes scuffed, her palm hurting, and her reputation slipping away with every second. Celine's motel room was already in bad shape by the time she got back that night. Her phone kept buzzing with notifications, tags, mentions, and private messages were pouring into her social media accounts. She opened one app and saw her face on dozens of popular videos. The captions were harsh. When you try to fight the Queen's Guard and lose. POV. You thought the Guard were cosplayers. Royal Edition. Karen levels unlocked. A lot of views. There are tens of thousands of comments. Most of them were making fun of her. Some were angry, and a few were already making memes out of her breakdown. One video slowed down the exact moment. Guard Hale stepped forward, catching Celine's scream in exaggerated slow motion with dramatic music playing in the background. Another one played her screaming, "This isn't over," like it was a punchline. Her carefully crafted internet persona, which showed off her wealth, elegance, and power, was falling apart in real time. No, she said quietly as she read through the flow of insults. This isn't happening. They don't get it. I was the one who got hurt, the poor victim. She tried to fix things by typing furiously into her phone. You watched police brutality and abuse of authority. The guard hit me. I will be taking legal action. Within minutes, a flood of replies covered her post. Lady, You ignored 6 warnings. Using power for bad. You really stepped in front of them and filmed yourself. You should be thankful he didn't completely trample you. Before midnight, the hashtag stomped by the guard started to trend. Merch stores popped up overnight selling t-shirts, mugs, and stickers with her angry visage in cartoon boots stepping on a hand. Her husband, who was in London, called her in a rage. "Celine, do you know what you've done to my name, to my business? Clients are contacting all the time because they don't want their lawyers to be part of a viral circus." Celine's lips shook. "Henry, I was embarrassed in front of everyone. They made fun of me. They attacked me." He yelled, "You hurt yourself. I told you this kind of behavior was wrong. Now everyone is aware. You did it. You've made us both seem stupid." Celine sat still and stared at her reflection in the darkened hotel glass after the call ended. For the first time, she stopped being brave and felt the crushing weight of the repercussions that she couldn't sue, yell, or scare her way out of. Celine came back home days later, but the storm had not passed. It had just become worse. As soon as she got off the plane, cameras flashed like guns firing. "Celine, this way. Give us the hand," they yelled. Some people yelled queries with hardly hidden laughter. "Do you wish you hadn't stood in front of the guard? Are you going to sue the crown? Celine, is it true that your husband's company is no longer letting you go to their charity events?" When someone yelled, "Careful, don't get in front of her, or she'll scream assault," her attempt to walk through the arrivals hall with dignity fell apart. As she ran to the car, laughter erupted behind her. Things were just as bad at home. Henry, her husband, was waiting in the study. His tie was loose, and his eyes were blazing with the tiredness of a man who has been dragged through the mud by association. "Do you know what I had to do this week?" He slammed a newspaper down on the desk and said, "What do you want?" The main page had a picture of Celine screaming with a phone in her hand, and the heading "Royal Menace, Woman Confronts Guard, Loses." Celine winced. "They turned it. On deliberately. They made me look stupid." Henry shot out, "You made yourself look stupid. My partners want me to step aside from 2 cases because jurors might know me as your husband. People are backing out of contracts. Do you know how much this has cost me? Us? I was the one who got hurt," she insisted, but her voice cracked less than before, showing that she wasn't as sure. "I was making a point about power and how they think they're untouchable." Henry laughed bitterly and cut her off. "The only thing you said is that you don't listen, you don't think, and you can't control yourself, and now we're both paying for it." Celine opened her lips to argue, but she couldn't get the words out. She could see it deep down, the numerous video online, the amusement of strangers, and the rage in her husband's eyes. None of it matched the version of herself she held on to. The phone rang again later that night. This time, it wasn't the media or family. It was her lawyer. He continued gently, "Celine, I need to be clear with you. People are saying that the police might give a fine to people who block military personnel. It probably won't get worse, but since this is so public, I strongly advise you not to press charges. It would go horribly wrong. Backfire," she whispered. "Every video, every headline, and every witness statement tells the same story. You will lose if you take this to court. Worse, you'll make it even bigger than it is now." Celine sat in the dark living room after the call ended, her bandaged hand uselessly laying in her lap. This time, she didn't reach for her phone. She didn't write anything. She didn't yell. For the first time, she just sat there in quiet, looking at the damage to her reputation and wondering whether there was any way to get it back. Weeks went by, yet the storm never really stopped. Celine had hoped that the internet would move on and that her shame would get lost in the constant stream of trending anger. But the videos had become their own thing. Every few days, a new remix came out. Her scream was made into dance music. Her stubbornness was turned into funny skits, and her visage was put on t-shirts and novelty mugs. The world had turned her into a joke. Henry became distant, burying himself in work and avoiding events where her name might come up. People stopped phoning. Even the high-end stores where Celine used to buy with pride were less friendly when they saw the palace menace that was spreading like wildfire. Celine went into town one afternoon, trying to hide by pulling her hat down low. but she couldn't avoid being recognized. A bunch of teens saw her in a cafe. One person muttered, and then copied her famous scream. "This isn't over." Before she could respond, the others burst out laughing and pulled out their phones. Celine ran away, her cheeks on fire. Her once cherished social media accounts were in shambles at home. Her followers had dropped, sponsors had cut ties, and her efforts to fix her image were drowned out by harsh remarks. Celine ended up being exactly what she said she wouldn't be. Not a respected person, not a feared socialite, but a warning to others. Parents used the video to teach their kids a lesson in humility. Tour guides at the palace humorously told guests, "Don't get in the way of the guard, you might end up like her." But the Queen's guard kept going, as still and calm as ever. Guard Hale never broke formation, never said a word, and never even mentioned the controversy. He just kept doing his job, walking forward with his boots hitting stone, never giving up. Celine, on the other hand, lived in the shadow of her own creating. Every time she heard her shout or saw her tumble, it reminded her that she had fought against something bigger than herself and lost. She was entertainment for the world. It was an embarrassment for her family. And for history, a footnote. The woman felt she could stand up to the guard, but her own pride got in the way.